Call the regular meeting to order. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Arencibia,
Present.
Hall,
Present.
Segura,
Here.
Solis,
Present.
Tarantino,
Here.
Aguirre.
Here.
This is the point of the agenda where members of the public may address the board on matters posted for the special meeting and in accordance with Government Code Section 54954.3, Section A. The board will provide an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the legislative body concerning any item that has been described in the notice for the meeting before or during consideration of that item. Each person wishing to address an item on the meeting notice in closed session will have 2 minutes to do so.
There are no speakers, Mr. President.
Since there's no communication, I will recess the meeting for the consideration of the following closed session items as posted on the meeting notice. 1, student expulsions, suspended expulsions, reinstatements, Education Code Section 48916-48918, students identified by ID number. 2, public employee evaluation, appointment transfer, Government Code Section 54957. 3, public employee discipline dismissal, release, reclassification, reassignment, resignation, transfer, Government Code Section 54957. 4, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. 5, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956. And 6, conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6. We will now adjourn to closed session. All right, thank you all for your patience. At this time, I would like to reconvene the regular board meeting. Clerk of the board, please call roll.
Arencibia?
Present.
Hall?
Present.
Segura?
Here.
Solis?
Present.
Tarantino?
Here.
Aguirre?
Here.
Stubblefield?
Here.
We will now hold the moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. During the moment of silence, we would like to honor an employee from the Information Technology Department, Ms. Marilyn Sparks, who tragically passed away last week. Our thoughts are with her family, friends, and colleagues during this difficult time. And our Pledge of Allegiance will be by our student board member, Ms. Stubblefield.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Stubblefield. The board met in closed session preceding this meeting to discuss the following issues: student expulsions, suspended expulsions, reinstatements, Education Code Section 48916-48918, students identified by case number, public employee evaluation, appointment transfer, Government Code Section 54957, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, reclassification, reassignment, resignation, transfer, Government Code Section 54957, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. Conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6. Did I miss something? The board took the following action. Moved by Arancibia, seconded by Segura, to approve the appointment of Teresa Kramer as principal, Mar Vista High School, with the vote of Arancibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. Moved by Solis, seconded by Arancibia, to approve the appointment of Alejandra Insunza as principal, Sweetwater High School, with the vote of Arancibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. Moved by Hall, seconded by Segura, to approve the appointment of Easter Finley as principal, Hilltop Middle School, with the vote of Arancibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. Moved by Hall, seconded by Segura, to approve the appointment of Maria Jaramillo as principal, East Lake Middle School, with the vote of Arancibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. Moved by Arancibia, seconded by Segura, to approve the request for leave of absence for one certificate employee, with the vote of Arancibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. Moved by Arancibia, seconded by Segura, to deny the request for leave of absence for 4 certificated employees, with the vote of Arancibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. Moved by Arancibia, seconded by Segura, pursuant to Education Code 44954, approve the release of 1 temporary certificated employee, with the vote of Arancibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda for the May 9th, 2022 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, we will now have a message from our superintendent, Dr. Moises Aguirre.
Thank you, President Solis. Good evening and buenas tardes. Welcome to our May 9th board meeting. First of all, a friendly reminder, as was mentioned at the last board meeting, face masks are now optional here in the boardroom. They're still highly recommended, but again, those are optional. I went to wish all moms out there a belated Mother's Day. I know it was yesterday, and for some it's tomorrow, which was yesterday. I hope it was filled with family and joy. Their moms are, and those who play roles of moms are critically important in our community, and we want to make sure we honor them and recognize them. On a sad note, I did want to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of a district staff member, Miss Marilyn Sparks, in our information technology department. Our thoughts and prayers are with her and her family at this difficult time. On a different note, we want to extend congratulations, which are in order at Rancho Del Rey Middle School, their VEX robotics team under the leadership of Coach Kirk Brado. They recently won the 2022 Middle School VEX VCR World Championship. That is correct. They are world champions. Congratulations to Rancho Del Rey. Good job. Well done. Last week, there was many events across the district. I did participate in a press conference at San Isidro High School with Supervisor Nora Vargas, where she announced a partnership with County of San Diego and the Metropolitan Transportation System, where they will be offering youth opportunity passes through the Pronto card, so that students age 18 and under will be able to obtain a transportation pass free of charge. So I definitely encourage any and all of our students who are interested to reach out to MTS. They have that information available on their website. Also, last week attended the presentation of strength-based portfolios at Montgomery Middle School. It was a great demonstration of student work. Kudos to the entire Montgomery Middle team and to all the families and staff that was present. It really was a great experience. Congratulations to everybody. As a friendly reminder, that this is the last school board meeting of this school year. Seems like time just flew by. Next time we meet in June, the school year will have come to an end. So I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate all of our graduating seniors, all of our promoting 8th graders, and just everybody all around. I'd also like to take this opportunity to inform our staff and community that we will be delaying the implementation of the student vaccine mandate to align with the state timelines until July 1 of 2023. The staff vaccination mandate will continue to move forward as previously announced. This year was, again, another year full of life lessons, particularly those in resiliency and making adjustments in the face of curveballs that life throws at us. So I wanted to thank all of our staff, all of our students, all of our families, and our community for coming together to really demonstrate all that our community can accomplish, even through adversity that we have faced this year. So really a heartfelt thank you and congratulations and job well done to everybody across the district. It's been, again, a challenging time, but we couldn't be more proud of the work that everybody came together to do. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to serve, and muchas gracias.
Thank you, Dr. Aguirre. Now we will have a report from our student board representative, Ms. Gabriel Stubblefield.
Good evening. This year has really flown by, and with only 2 board meetings left for this year, I would like to say how thankful I am that I've gotten the opportunity to serve on this board and aid in our district's mission to connect students and communities through the importance of education and personal growth. Currently, I am involved in the process of electing a new student board representative. We hope to find someone who is dedicated to the students in our district and is passionate about giving our students a voice and bringing that voice to the board meetings. Regardless, this time I've spent serving as a member of this board is priceless, and I will always cherish these experiences as it positively added to my leadership voice. I have also met with Dr. Theodore and our Mental Health and Wellness Student Leadership Council, where we have continued working towards one of my goals of breaking the stigma about mental health by educating families and communities about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stubblefield. This is the point of the agenda where members of the public may address the board on any matter not on the agenda and have 3 minutes each to do so. Pursuant to board bylaw, the board may limit the time for public comment on any single topic to 20 minutes per topic. The Board of Trustees cannot legally take action on or respond to matters not posted on the public agenda, but will refer the matter to the Superintendent's office for review and report. Speakers shall refrain from using profanity and shall speak in a respectful manner. Thank you for your cooperation.
Dina Donato Palmore.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Aguirre. Tonight, I come to you grateful that negotiation between the Sweetwater Counseling and Guidance Association, SCGA, and the district is done. I am proud of my association for maintaining their professionalism throughout this process. My bargaining team kept the focus on counselors, support for the profession, and support for students. Even when my bargaining team was asked to validate counselors' worth, they kept their composure. As a member, I was outraged that this was asked of them. I was told that other bargaining teams were not asked of this. I didn't know that the district bargaining team, more specifically, Ms. Carbuccia, the general counsel, thought so little of the counselors. It sounded like counselors were being asked to audition for our contracts. Ms. Carbuccia preaches relationships are important. I'm wondering if that relationship is one of power, control, intimidation, disrespect, and counseling those who are not in your circle of loyalty. I also didn't know that you, the Board of Trustees, thought so little of the counselors. You forgot to acknowledge us on that April 26th meeting. But Mr. Solis, you did remember, and you did try to fix it. Water under the bridge? Probably not. I have been a counselor for this district for almost 30 years. I've always been proud of my profession and my colleagues. We have received an increase in wage and benefits. Thank you for recognizing that need. But money has nothing to do with my pride for my profession and my loyalty to the students and families of this district. Being proud to work for the Sweetwater community is far different from being proud of Sweetwater District. If Ms. Carbuccia's behavior and your lack of acknowledgement are examples of your relationships, then there's a lot of work to be done. Thank you.
I have 9 speakers regarding one topic. Did you want to? That's 27 minutes.
Yeah. We can cut it down to 2 minutes.
2 minutes
if that's
each?
with the
Okay.
board.
Samuel Sandoval.
Good evening, Mr. President of the Board, members of the Board, and Mr. Superintendent. My name is Samuel Sandoval. I am here again before you because I wanted to thank Dr. Aguirre and his cabinet for having the courage to support the decision made by Dr. Del Rosario at Bonita Vista High School with regards to the expansion and of recognizing honor graduates of the class of 2022 to include all non-IB diploma students who have a 4.2 or higher GPA. From day one, our points of contention have been very simple and based on the core values of equity and inclusion. There's been a lot of discussion and comments questioning the timing of the decision. And the main one being a lot of people saying, why now? And my answer to that question is very simple. Why not now? There's never a wrong time to do the right thing. I actually have a quote from a student who's a senior and who is an IB candidate himself. And I think this kid understands the meaning of equity, in which he says, IB is pretty unique in how they do things. And there's a level of commitment and work and accomplishment that should be awarded. That's true. I'm not arguing against that. I'm an IB student myself. The thing is, IB isn't the only place where people have demonstrated that. He goes and adds, I really think that they deserve some recognition, some formal recognition, at least equal to me. These are people I looked up to. I shouldn't be graduating in a position higher than them. So this student understands the value of equity. And I know I'm out of time, but I wanted to commend Dr. Del Rosario for having the courage to make that decision and stand for the decision of honoring all students who deservedly deserve to be recognized at graduation. So it is very courageous on his part as well to make a decision that in his heart was the right one. So I wanted to publicly thank him.
Thank you, Mr. Sandoval.
Thank you very much.
Samuel Hernandez.
Dear board members, I stand here before you today thanking you for your swift action against the equity concern at Bonita Vista High School. I want to personally thank the Superintendent, Dr. Moises Aguirre, and Dr. Del Rosario for meeting with us and letting us voice our concerns. They have expanded inclusivity and access to the serving students based on their achievements and merits by expanding the number of students who get recognized with a white gown. The top 4 students from the special education program, English language learners, and AP students are able to graduate in white alongside the IB students, a recognition we all deserve. I can only imagine the controversy that has come up from this issue, and my only hope is that we move forward as one school united. Once more, I want to thank Dr. Del Rosario for his patience and efforts he took to side with equity. It truly shows that he cares for the kids of Bonita Vista High School. Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Paola Castillo.
Good evening, board members. First off, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to us today. And a personal thanks to Dr. Moises Aguirre and Dr. Del Rosario for listening to us and keeping our voices heard. I'd like you all to know that on behalf of the students, we are greatly appreciative of your decision to extend the recognition of the white robes at Bonita Vista High. We appreciate this change in recognizing all of the deserving students and for further creating a growing community of high accomplishing students. I assure you that after all of the controversy, this change will be good and serve as an incentive to have more high-achieving students in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kiara Sandoval.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Aguirre. My name is Kiara Sandoval. I'm sure many of you have heard of the expansion of the white grounds for those in Bonita Vista High School with the 4.2 and above, as well as the top 4 students of the special education program. And I simply just come here today just to show my gratitude to the superintendent just for expanding this decision and listening to his staff members and as well as the students. I know this is a very controversial decision, and I want to just say thank you for having the courage to stand by the decision and standing by your staff members as well as Dr. Del Rosario, who I also want to thank. He's not here today, but he initially made this decision, and I believe that spoke a lot about his character and about the person he is. I know this took a lot of time out of you guys' hands, and I think that speaks volumes as I respect your time and I respect your efforts and that you took to consult this issue. And it makes me pretty happy to know, and it makes me proud that, you know, I have a staff standing here next to me that is standing by equitability. And I know that this has caused a lot of controversy at my school. But I overall hope that we can just move forward and just celebrate graduation, because that's what it is. It's a celebration, and to just enjoy the next couple of weeks until we do graduate. And I would just like to congratulate all the students who earned this honor, just because I think you guys all deserve it. That includes IB students, students of the special education program, English language learners, and students of any other program at school. They have all earned it, as I said before, and I am immensely proud of you guys all. And to finish this off, I'd just like to say thank you once again to the superintendent, Dr. Del Rosario, and anyone else who put their time and effort into the situation. I genuinely do appreciate it. I really would like you to know that. And, you know, now all deserving students at Bonita Vista High School get to graduate in white, regardless of their program. And so I just wanted to thank you guys for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vanessa Ramirez.
Good evening to the board members and President Solis and Superintendent Aguirre. I just wanted to say thank you, because I know this is a decision that took much longer to decide than it should have. I really do feel that it shouldn't have gotten as far as to the superintendent, but thank you again for hearing us out and for supporting Dr. De Rosario with his decision. I mean, it shows that you guys really do care about us and are willing to listen and, you know, side with equity, which is really important. And I think it just, it really shows your character, and I'm very appreciative of that. And I just have nothing else to say but thank you.
Thank you.
Regina Luna.
I'm not graduating in white, but I was on the outside of this issue for a long time, and I have a bunch of friends who are. And so I guess I just wanted to say thank you, because I realized that this was really important for them as much as it was for like everyone else. And I know this is a lot more than just like the white robe itself. It was more about unifying the school. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sydney Wonderly?
All right, I don't have much to say. It's basically just what everyone else said, but I just wanted to thank you guys for all the time you've put into this. It genuinely means a lot to us because we know how controversial it was, and it must not have been easy to take time on this, even though it shouldn't have been that big of a deal at the end of the day. But I'm just glad that this decision was made and that you guys heard us all out. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Veronica Garcia?
Good evening, all. I'm a parent of both an IB senior and a senior who's taken AP courses since 9th grade. My IB senior is actually graduating with over a 4.5 GPA. She goes to volunteer every Sunday morning at a hospital as part of her program, and she is very deserving of that honor. And I'm very proud to say that she is actually standing with the children who also deserve that because they have been in AP courses since 9th grade. They are studying for the AP exams. I have 2 freshmen, actually. One of them just took his AP Human Geography AP test, and I mean, he was able to recite everything in that material, and I feel that he will be successful. He also plays varsity soccer since freshman year, and he has his head on straight. And I feel that if he were to choose not to participate in the IB program, he would very much be deserving of that honor of graduating with the white gown or whatever it may be, whatever the distinction. So I want to say thank you very much for all who took the time to consider this. I know it was pretty bad timing, and I actually have received emails from the IB parents, and they're pretty upset. They actually took the matter as far as litigation, but it wasn't something that they would be able to move forward with, so the case is being dismissed. But I do want to say on behalf of both sides, as an IB parent and as a parent of students who are deserving, thank you very much for the consideration, and hopefully in the future, you know, we can continue to allow students who deserve the recognition to have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don Dumas?
Hello. Good evening, Superintendent Aguirre, board members, and everyone attending this meeting. My name is Don Dumas, and I've been teaching and coaching in this district for 12 years, the last 8 of them at Bonita Vista High School. And in 2019-2020, I was this district and San Diego County's Teacher of the Year. I taught in the IB program at Castle Park and at Bonita Vista High, and I currently teach AP US History. I know firsthand how hard IB diploma candidates work, and they deserve recognition at graduation. I also know how hard non-IB students work too. I believe we need to honor all of these high-achieving academic standouts with white gown. I'm here to applaud Dr. Del Rosario for making an equity-based decision and to applaud Dr. Aguirre for supporting that decision. You know, change, particularly change that is designed to bring about more equity, is never easy, and it takes courage to make tough decisions. And we know when we do those things, there's going to be some pushback. But you two leaders did exactly that. You led. And what you're doing takes courage, and whether we realize it or not, you're setting a tremendous example for our students and community. You did the right thing. It may not seem like it now, but in the end, I'm sure this is going to work out to be the popular thing as well. And so if wearing a white gown for academic achievement is a good and joyful thing, and surely it is, then spreading that joy is a no-brainer. There's enough recognition to go around for everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Michelle Beal.
Good evening, Dr. Aguirre and Board of Trustees. Michelle Beal, SCGA Bargaining Co-Chair. I had hoped to be there in person, but I'm still feeling a little under the weather. As well, I'm a little late in my communication as I didn't realize our agreement was going to be voted on at the emergency board meeting on April 26th. As you know, on April 13th, SCGA and the district reached a tentative agreement, which was later ratified and approved by the board on April 26th. For those of us present, we know it was certainly a long day, only made longer by the loss of the internet and the countless walks back and forth to the district hallways, all well worth the time and the 20,000 steps we took. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the district's bargaining team, Roberto Rodriguez, Jenny Falkel, Dr. Alvarez, Anna Pedroza, Maribel Gavin, Vernon Moore, Dr. Aguirre, and Jenny Carbuccia for the commitment to not only reaching an agreement, but for also working with SCJ to acknowledge that while, yes, this is a contract, this is also about people and their families. Reaching this agreement has helped to give our members peace of mind about jobs, placements, salaries, and benefits, all of which have weighed heavy on members' minds. I thank you for remembering the human factor. Dr. Aguirre, I also want to thank you. At the conclusion of our last bargaining session, you expressed your gratitude for the hard work that counselors do each day and recognized counselors' dedication to our students. I repeat that today because I think it's extremely important for our members to continue to hear that the work we do is acknowledged and respected. Bargaining is a lengthy process, and both sides don't always get everything they want. We certainly didn't get everything we wanted for our students, and we let you know that. But I am hopeful that moving forward, the district and SCGA will continue to work collaboratively. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen Shears.
Good evening. In my mid-20s, many moons ago, I was fortunate to be elected to the first school site council at Montgomery Middle. Since that time, I have served on many SFCs in both CVE and SUHSD. As this year comes to an end, it is only appropriate I recognize students, teachers, staff, parents, and Principal Zoomstein at Montgomery High. Mrs. Weinberger, parent, a woman who bleeds empathy, compassion, and service to the students and our community. Ms. Flores, another parent. Teachers, Tracy Peterson, Autumn Sandwald, Sarah Mansfield, Joe Amaro, Mary McNally, staff, Randy Kennedy, Melissa Sanchez, students, Annalisa Cervantes, Victor Erez Vela, and Isabella Flores. Last but certainly not least, Karina Schultz, an employee we all depend on. All arrived prepared after researching the issues and garnering your peers' input. Allow me to say, there is not a shrinking violet among them. In my 47 years serving, never have I met a more impassioned group. Their direct approach focused on one thing: improving, learning, growing. Then there is Principal Zoomstein, a man I have grown to respect while not always in agreement. He is a leader who listens, considers, and bases decisions on legality, policy, students first, and self-consideration. He is able to receive differing opinions which challenge him without feeling threatened. While meetings are scheduled to be an hour, fortunately for me and others, there is no 3-minute time limit. We hammer out the business. Serving on school site councils has educated me greatly, though I still have much to learn. I would like to publicly thank them for adding to their already cumbersome work and life responsibility, choosing to serve. Mr. Zoomstein undoubtedly needing to meditate before each meeting in preparation for dealing with me, an experience most of you are empathetic to. Respectfully, in all my years serving, I have never seen a trustee attend. Previously, one of you during the superintendent search downplayed school site council's value, forgetting our charge of oversight of tax dollars. Just a thought, it might be worth your while to attend a meeting. Moving on, as you have noticed, I am now pulling as many items to address the board, choosing instead to email my questions on most. I would like to thank Dr. Winters, Ms. Quirk, Dr. Alvarez, and Dr. Moore for their continued promptness in responding. It's important to note many during their off time. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Crystal Alvarez.
Hello, my name is Crystal Alvarez. I'm a parent of a ninth grader at East Lake High School. I am just calling to voice my support for the Compact for Success program. The most recent communications from the superintendent's office has promised the program will continue, and I look forward to that. However, we have not seen a signed MOU, and the program requirements have not been solidified. If you could please keep in mind the process and be transparent to the parents and students when determining the requirements and provide a date when we can expect to see the program. I appreciate your time and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
No further speakers.
All right, Clerk of the Board, will you please read the items being pulled from the consent agenda?
Yes, I have one change to read. On Board Agenda Item L5, the superintendent's recommendation needs to be revised to delete the word approve and change it to read, allow staff to negotiate and execute university agreements with those universities listed in the superintendent's recommendation. Only the beginning of the recommendation is changing. The rest of the language remains the same. Upon board approval, the item will be updated in Novus. The following items are pulled: F3 by staff, F6 by Mr. Tarantino, F8 by the public, G3 by Mrs. Hall, G4 by Mrs. Hall, G5 by Mr. Tarantino, G6 by Dr. Arencibia, G12 by Mrs. Hall, G13 by Mr. Tarantino, staff, and the public, G14 by Mrs. Hall, G15 by Dr. Arencibia, H1 by Mr. Tarantino, H2 by Mr. Tarantino and the public. K1, page 8 is being withdrawn by staff. The rest of the item is pulled by Mr. Tarantino. L4 by Mr. Tarantino and staff. And M1 by the public.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion. And a second.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, moving on to F3. Anybody like to start us off?
Sure, I'll go, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Segura.
Okay. So first of all, I'd just like to echo what Dr. Aguirre's remarks around our end of our school year and all the graduates and all the work that our students have done through, especially these last 2 years through the pandemic. Now that we're in person, we're still not all the way back to where we were, and it's just been an incredible amount of work that they've done to achieve and earn a diploma. So I want to congratulate them and all our teachers and educators for all that work too. It's really appreciated. I don't know, were you going to give the update on the Coast to Coast, Mr. President? Or?
Go ahead if you want. I have some stuff, but
So I have
go ahead.
I'll add a couple remarks to that. So we attended a Coast to Coast with the CSBA, which is California School Board Association. It was delegates from state of California. We went to Washington, D.C., met with our legislators to discuss issues relating to education, obviously. And we got in front of our group here, President Solis and myself, got in front of Congressman Juan Vargas, Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, and we just, requested that, we need to, we had like 5 items. I'll talk about 2 of them. We talked about and asked for the our IDA funding to be increased to where it was supposed to be at, which is 40% by the federal government. That's for our students with special ed funding, and currently the state receives 8% of that. So that's really a lot of money that that if we were getting more funding for that would improve everybody's education in our district. So there's a couple bills out there with that, and hopefully something will happen and move on that. We also met and talked to about our let me see if I can find it here, with our food and nutrition, and asking that they continue to allow and extend that anybody could get a lunch at school. It was very important. One of our teachers who was there at the meeting, expressed that she could see from her own eyes and that students, the stigma around it has gone away now that anybody can have it. You don't have to fill out paperwork. You can just, if you're hungry, a student can go get something to eat. There's just nothing, it's just the way it should be. And the members of Congress really appreciated hearing that, and hopefully that'll happen. And the last thing I'll speak about is we talked about the ERISA 3 funding. Although we definitely would like to get more money with the way that the legislature is set up right now, I don't think they're going to agree on too much. But there's maybe a possibility. What we are asking for was the extension of spending that money. It currently expires in December 2024. We were hoping to get a 2-year extension on it. Not that we have plans for that money, but because of a lot of delays, if we were going to spend some of that money on construction, there's been delays in construction and materials and just implementing and hiring people and just all of that. So that was one thing. Hopefully we can get them to move on, and maybe that they'll the legislator will come together and vote. It won't cost them anything, but just vote to help all our students. And then I'll just stop with that on there. And I appreciate the district sending me. And I could tell you that was the first ever trip for the CSBA to go out there and lobby in person. In my previous career as an electrical worker, IBW electrical worker, I had been to DC. I had been to that same hotel probably 10 or 11 times in the last 14 years. And that's exactly what you do. If you want something and you want them to know where you're at, it's always best to see them face to face and then have them look you in the eyes. And they appreciate that. And if especially if it's the congressperson or congresswoman there, that's just the way you do it. And that it really has a meaningful impact on them and in their decisions. But I thank the district for allowing me and the public for allowing me to go. And this Saturday, we're going to have our I can't believe it, our 6th annual solar sprint at Montgomery Middle. I'd like to thank the CTE coordinator, Brahim Wahib, for helping put that all together, and everybody else who's helping with that. And I'd like to thank, he's told me we're going to have maybe 200 students, so that's going to be great. If you're not familiar with that, they put a little solar array that's about this big. They get 4 wheels, a motor, and then they build a car, and then they race, and then they get awards for first, second, and third on speed, innovation, and creativity. I think are the 3 categories. So that's this Saturday at Montgomery Middle. I believe it's at noon. And I'd like to thank NICA San Diego and IBW 569. They had contributed money for this program, so I really appreciate their help. And that concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Segura. Anybody else like to go? Dr. Allen? Oh, Mr. Tarantino? Sure. Okay, go.
I'd like to begin by congratulating Devin Lloyd, who is an Otay Ranch grad, and he was drafted first round by the Jacksonville Jaguars to play in the NFL this coming season. So congratulations to him and his family, and we wish him all the best in a long and fruitful career in the NFL. I'd like to thank Griselda Delgado and her team for sponsoring the Parent Symposium, which was held on Saturday. I was only able to attend the resource fair, but a lot of good resources were there representing all different aspects of our county in terms of support for parents, not only economic support, social support, but also mental health support. So again, congratulations and thank you for all the time and effort that was invested in that endeavor. And from what I understand, there were 165 in-person attendees, and I don't know how many were on the virtual links for that as well. I'd like to thank Tina Mathias and Eric Spann, our Director of Nutrition Services. Tina Mathias is the Executive Director of South Bay Sustainable Communities. For those of you who watch Channel 8 News, there was a piece on Earth Day championing the fact that Tina Mathias, in cooperation with our district, has created sustainable programs for food waste at 4 of our schools, and it was very well done. And I forget how many tons of food have been reclaimed and from the general trash and put in compost bins on all of our campuses. So thanks to them for spearheading this event, and from what I understand, there's a possibility that it would be expanded throughout our district in the future. And last of all, I'd like to wish all of our students well on their final exams. They're wrapping up a school year, like Dr. Aguirre has mentioned, and I hope that they do well, and that if the opportunity presents and they need it, that they attend our summer programs, either in person or virtually, that are going to be offered throughout the district. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tarantino. Vice President Ho.
Thank you, President Solis. It's really great to hear the news from Mr. Segura about the visit to Washington. I'm sure you'll have more to share as well. I look forward to continuing the advocacy efforts on all levels with our elected officials that help make those decisions. Certainly it bears repeating as much as we can, because we're not unique, and it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you are on in Washington, you know, in the Capitol. Everybody knows how important the education for our young people is. And I'm sure there's a lot of common ground we can find when it comes to funding of those programs. Yeah, that's a good, I want to thank you both for taking that time to go there and do that work. I wanted to say thanks to Eric Span, also Mr. Tarantino. Eric Span met with myself. We met with Brenny Essentino, who works with the Partnerships for Success, along with Brittany Hunsinger from the Institute for Public Strategies. They're building the outreach programs and trying to mentor and help our young people, especially those who are English learner or second language learners here in the South Bay, and particularly in the areas of Otay, Mesa, and Imperial Beach. So we met to discuss how to build those partnerships, and they were requesting perhaps to do a presentation to the board. I don't know if Dr. Aguirre could schedule that. Certainly it will be something, I think, of interest to us all, but especially for the people, you know, to build their own ability to represent themselves and to become, you know, involved civically in their communities. That would be a great thing. I believe they did meet with the principal of Mar Vista Academy as a point of contact for holding an outreach fair sometime in August with our communities out here. So I'm really looking forward to that work coming to fruition. I also wanted to mention that I've been doing judging for the last 3 years for a video contest. It's actually Directing Change, which is part of the mental health advocacy and really destigmatizing mental health so that people understand that it's another organ, very, very important organ of our body that really needs care and should be handled with care. But I've been judging those films for the last 3 years, and they were going to have their award ceremony this month on the 17th. It will be held virtually, and you can look and view it and sign up to view that on directingchange.org. There's a lot of resources for mental health for teachers, families, students, all across the board on that website. So I would encourage people to go there and look for those resources, because everybody needs to be aware of what good work is being done in that respect. And so many people need that help right now to really gain footing on their mental health and to really regain it, especially coming out of the pandemic. I also wanted to thank Dr. Aguirre, really for your part in holding that listening sessions with the students and families out at Bonita Vista. Those comments made tonight from those members of that community, really, I'm glad to see that people in those communities and all across our district are recognizing the qualities that you bring to the table. That you do have a true honorable spirit, and you really do want to do what's best for students, and you will take the time to listen and to hear and to act accordingly. So I want to thank you for that. I do have one request aside from that presentation, and that is that we get an update, a Friday update regarding the timeline for the implementation, an updated timeline, because a lot has happened around that, and I know that I really want to keep informed about how that's progressing. So I would request you provide that in the Friday update. And my sincere sympathies go out to the family of Miss Sparks, and also the mothers that have lost their own children this past year in our district. Really, I hold you in my heart and prayers, especially during Mother's Day. It must have been a difficult time, and you've never been alone. We've always held you in our thoughts and prayers. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice President Hall. Dr. Arancibia?
No, I just wanted to congratulate all the graduates and all the folks that made this year happen in our district. It's been a trial by fire, but we've been able to do it under the stewardship of Dr. Aguirre. And I just want to be able to say thank you to everyone for everyone's efforts and moving forward, and really, really taking into account really important things like getting us through fiscally sound, making sure that instruction is happening, making sure that our students are taken care of both physically and emotionally. And I'd like to just offer, I mean, it's really, really great to hear the voices from the community that spoke up today. And I just want to offer thank you to Dr. Del Rosario, and also to Dr. Aguirre as well, with the leadership with regards to how to be able to work together and come together as a community to find a solution for the issues that we need to face together, right? But congratulations, graduates. I look forward to seeing you. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arancibia. Okay, and just with me, I won't take too much of the time. Mr. Segura did a great job at the Coast to Coast. Just going to go over the topics that we covered, which was special education funding, mental health, nutrition, broadband access, cybersecurity, ESSER flexibility, teacher shortage, Social Security, and we also advocated for a secure rural school program. It was a very powerful. There were powerful meetings. Just having the rest of our colleagues there from Chula Vista, San Isidro, the South Bay. It was powerful to all of us be in that room talking to our representatives. Many of them, they have an idea, but they don't understand what's really going on in each district. So them hearing pretty much the same story from all of our colleagues, they're like, whoa, this is bigger than they thought. So it was very powerful, and I know Representative Vargas said he would give us $35,000 per child if he could, but it's like one of those things where it would be great. But he is advocating for us. And one thing that I appreciated was with Congresswoman Jacobs. It was pretty interesting. They were talking about funding, and that she was going to earmark some money. She was earmarking money, and they were going to choose where some money was going to go. And the deadline hadn't approached. It was approaching, but it hadn't passed. So I looked at Mr. Segura and our counsel, Ms. Carbuccia, and we're like, what can we do? We had like 2 days. I think that there's 2 days to get something in. And I said, let's do this. So we contacted Dr. Aguirre and the team. I think Dr. Griselda Delgado and Mr. Cesar Fernandez, yeah, and Ms. Carbucha worked on something to get over, and Dr. Aguirre, to get over to their staff, and they got it in, and we won't know till later, but we asked for a good chunk of money, and when somebody says there's money there, we're going to jump on it, and that's one thing that this meeting was able to get us. So next year we're going to be ready way before the deadline to get something in, but I thought that was something that we had to take advantage of, and I really appreciate the hard work from our staff to get something in, and hopefully we get something. So yeah, so I really appreciated that, and there are some bills out there for the federal government that are getting put on, and see, hopefully they go through, like Mr. Segura said, with the funding for the IDEA to get us to that 40%, because we only get 8%, and that's just, it's not enough. We need that funding for our special ed kids, and it'll make a big difference. And what I'll see if we can do is maybe put some of these on our website and have our constituents call or email our representatives to let them know that you'd want to see a lot of this go through, so it'll help our schools. So and the other thing we were advocating was the teacher shortage. There's a bill from Congressman Adams and Reed to strengthen the education workforce and address school staffing shortages through programs to recruit, train, support, and retain effective teachers and school leaders. So this would come with funding, so that would boost our teachers here, and it'll help that pipeline that we're surely lacking right now. So it was a great trip, and hopefully the next year we can get most of you guys to come and join us. I know it's kind of interesting, but we can alternate. But it was a good trip. Okay. Also, with regards to our comments today, thank you for coming. I know we're here to listen, whether it's positive or negative. Of course, it's always good to hear positive stuff. We're human beings, and positivity is always good. But we want to hear everything, and we really appreciate taking your time to come and speak with us. So thank you for that. And I was part of the Honoring Our Own with AXA and SDCSBA, CSBA Region 17. I was the chair of the WHO committee, and I appreciated Dr. Aguirre and staff coming and supporting that event. We didn't have any winners this time around, but hopefully next year we will. And that's why I couldn't make it to the parent symposium, because I was nervous with that event, and it went off pretty good. So I appreciate the support, and I know we do a lot of good work here in this district, and we want to make sure next year we get a couple people up there to show the work that we do, and well deserved. I mean, a lot of our staff deserves recognition, and something like this would go a long way. So hopefully we can get more nominations next year. And there was something else, but if it'll come to me, I'll say it. With those that came to speak with us, you're welcome to stay, or you can head home and study for your finals and get elected to the seniors, and have a good evening. But that's it for that. All right. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to F6, and that was pulled by Mr. Tarantino.
Thank you, President Solis. I have a question in terms of what determines the use of outside law firms. And, you know, I looked at the backup material, and I looked at all the firms that are on our list, and they all have areas of expertise. But what would determine whether something is handled in-house or given to an outside law firm? And also, perhaps in a Friday update, if we could have what was the fiscal impact of outside legal firms on our general fund, or really any fund, for fiscal year 21-22.
Dr. Aguirre?
Thank you, President Solis. So the brief answer to that question is it really kind of depends on the case-by-case situation. Really, there's a multi-layered analysis that occurs, such as are there specific issues at hand, and so are there specialties within certain law firms. We also try to reach out to different firms so that not one particular firm receives our business all the time. So trying to make sure we work with a diversity of firms. And again, depending on the issue area, if it's a facilities issue, if it's a student services issue, there's HR issues. So we will do an analysis with a particular team member, cabinet member, and then from there make that decision. But again, it always involves an analysis. So there's not just an automatically kind of going to any one particular firm, but it really does depend on the case.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification, Dr. Aguirre. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion
Second.
and a second.
Stubblefield,
Yes.
Arencibia,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Segura,
Yes.
Solis,
Yes.
Tarantino.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, F8, now pulled by the public.
Yes, I have one speaker, Kathleen Shears.
In reviewing the attachments, our response to the county's letter, which the actual letter versus the cumbersome link to the county's website should have been attached, the fifth paragraph on page 2 jumped out at me. I quote, "We recommend the district review the planned expenditures from ESSER sources with the external auditors." Paragraph 6 appears to indicate it can be met. My question, do you have written confirmation from our outside auditing firm documenting this statement? Respectfully, I ask, why was the auditor's response not attached? Please note, I am not challenging the worthiness of the salary increase, but rather the sources for the increases. Thank you.
No further speakers.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Aguirre?
Short answer is yes.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for approval of F8.
Okay,
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
Stubblefield,
Yes.
Arencibia,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Segura,
Yes.
Solis,
Yes.
Tarantino.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, we move on to G3, pulled by Mrs. Hall, well, Vice President Hall, sorry.
Thank you, President Solis. My question is about the schools that are not being covered by these grants. Can you address why? Because it looks like we don't have every one of those middle schools or high schools on. My question is basically the same for item 3 and item 4.
Okay, Dr. Aguirre?
Thank you, President Solis. I'll refer this to Dr. Alvarez.
Good evening, Dr. Aguirre, President Solis, Vice President. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I also wanted to wish Mr. Solis a happy birthday. My
Thank
birthday
you.
tocayo. So we get to spend our birthdays
Yeah,
here.
happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday. So both of those items, the way the assets and the ACES grants work, they function under a free and reduced lunch program threshold. For the ACES program, that will continue to be status quo. I do want to preface for the assets programs, those thresholds have changed, and we are starting to see some of those changes impact our school sites. And we'll note that one of those changes will impact immediately Chula Vista High School for next year. So the free and reduced lunch thresholds that we used to have for the assets programs were about 73%, 63%. Currently, the last cohort, it was 93%. And so we will have to be looking at alternative means of funding, as Mr. Solis expressed and Mr. Segura expressed. The conversations that you had in Washington were critical to that piece. Those conversations were directly related to our after-school programs and how to continue to provide those services to our students that we feel are so essential, but that are quickly and rapidly changing. And so for this cohort, it is based on the free and reduced lunch, and as noted, for assets, that will be changing.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. I have a follow-up question to that. So it's the free and reduced lunch thresholds, and I'm glad that you, I was going to ask, is this federal dollars or state dollars? Is it a federal grant program to the state, or is it a grant directly to the district?
So
Do you know that answer?
So the way this grant actually is, the San Diego County Office of Ed is the recipient of the grant. And so the funding goes directly to them, and then it comes through them to us for both grants.
Thank you. And I believe that there was some indication, I think before 2020, that this program might be at risk of being defunded by the prior administration, the prior, president, and his chief of education, or whatever they call that person back in Washington. So I'm hoping that maybe, I'm really thinking that we need to do a lot more advocacy around that so that it doesn't expire, because it is key. I think these are key programs for our students. So yes, we'll continue to look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice President Hall. And with regards to our meetings, they were also looking into changing a state-by-state look at how poverty is looked at in each state, because poverty here in California is a little different than, say, Tennessee or...
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's been a struggle forever. I mean, even with Title I, when you look at the, if you look at free and reduced lunch and what qualifies people, the disparity of what it means to a California community versus some other ones, it's really key. So I think whatever work you do in that respect will be really critical. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing against Tennessee. I just threw that out there. That's what came to my head. All right. Vice President Hall, you okay with taking G3 and G4 at the same time, or do you still want?
Yes.
Okay.
My questions were answered. Thank you.
All right. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
G3 and G4. Correct. Okay.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. G5, Mr. Tarantino.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Dr. Alvarez and the team that helped negotiate this contract, or this MOU, with the San Diego Community College District for bringing this to our district. I think it's a great opportunity for our students, and it definitely enhances our CTE program. So thank you very much for the work that you did on that. And if there's no other questions, I will move approval.
All right. We have a motion.
I'll second.
And a second.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. Moving on to G6, pulled by Dr. Arencibia.
What I wanted to ask about this, I mean, the proposal was fine. I would really like to see, when this gets finished up, how precisely we will identify educational leadership on campus, on our campuses, and how will they be engaged in site visit or classroom visits to be able to see how we're actually moving towards seeing the completion, towards seeing actual pedagogy and offering coaching for the instruction. I know that this is like a big 30,000 in the air kind of picture, but I'd like to, once we get the funding, for us to really, I would love to see how instruction's being meted out from leadership on campus down to every instructor that's going to be participating. And with that, that's one of the things, it's a real request I would like to have, and I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second.
And a second.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. Moving on to G12, pulled by Vice President Hall.
Yes, I would like to ask if this, it seems like this is a, if every school does their own thing and we're spending like $26,000 at this school and another 26 at another school, there might be a way to combine that and do, maybe get more people or more coaching and mentoring for other schools in our district. If this is a really good program, which I suspect it is, coming from West Aid, I would like Superintendent Aguirre to look into that, because I think all of our schools could benefit from that. Thank you.
Dr. Aguirre, do you have a, oh, sorry, Vice President Hall, did you have somebody else? I apologize. No? Okay. Dr. Aguirre?
Certainly, that is something that Dr. Alvarez, Dr. Winters, Dr. Moore, and I can look into further. As again, we also want to acknowledge that different communities that from time to time may have different areas of focus within a larger structure, and so we try to establish the kind of the meta structure. But we can definitely have those conversations about how we can continue building strengths across the district.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion for G12.
Second.
And a second.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, G13, we have a presentation. Dr. Aguirre?
Thank you, President Solis, for this. I'll ask Dr. Alvarez to lead on the presentation regarding our graduation plan. So for that, Dr. Alvarez.
Good afternoon again. So as we all recall in, let me make sure this is working. Well, one more. Yeah, just a screen. Okay. So as we all recall, in 1920, in the spring of 2020, we went into a stay-at-home order by the governor. With that, there were several conditions that occurred in terms of distance learning and requirements for instruction for our students. We also, as a district, developed goals of what we were to do during that time. And that was really focusing on our relationships, our families, our students, making sure that we provided both academic and enrichment activities, and that we were maintaining that continuity of learning. With that, we also had some legislation that came a little bit later of AB 104 that provided us an opportunity to increase the credit recovery that students were having access to, and then gave the option for schools and students to opt in the California graduation plan. And throughout this time in board conversations and board meetings, we developed those plans. So the class of 2020, the class of 2021, and the class of 2022 had the California grad plan as an option for graduation. And so that is different from our traditional Sweetwater Union High School grad plan, which we have always maintained for the class of 2023, but we wanted to make sure that both our parents and students were aware of this, but also our teachers, our counselors, and our administrators. So through this process, frozen. So through this process, we've engaged our community stakeholders, inclusive of an A through G and graduation committee. The plan that was just approved for the A through G plan had extensive members throughout our organization. We also included teachers, counselors, principals in our cabinet to vet and look at what were the options and what were the conditions for continuing our grad plan. Wanted to compare the graduation plan so everyone's familiar. Our SUHSD grad plan is a 44 credit plan. Traditionally, on a 4-year cycle for students, students take 12 credits each year, so they have up to 48 credits that they can take. We require 44 for those graduation credits. 8 credits in English, 8 credits in social science, 6 in math, 4 in science, 4 in PE, 1 in health, And then we have 2 credits of VAPA, 4 credits of CTE or world language, 7 elective credits, and in the past, we had 30 hours of community service. What this does, it aligns our credits very closely to the A through G California State University and UC graduation requirements or entrance requirements, and we think that moves us closer to increasing our A through G potential for all of our students. It really maximizes the opportunity that students have. But as you know, in the pandemic, there were situations that made it much more difficult for students to access all of that. And so we went to the California Grad Plan, which is the minimum state requirement. Those offer the 26 credits. And you'll see there is some difference in terms of the number of credits that students were taken. Community service was not part of that. That was eliminated. And during the pandemic, even in our own grad plan, that would have been eliminated. So the option now is to return to the 44 credits. I have the 30 hours of community service double asterisk because that still is dependent on the pandemic. We really don't want to send students out into situations that may cause them harm. And so as a cabinet and as a leadership team and as the board, I think that's something that we should look at and consider. But the formal graduation plan with the credits would be implemented. So what it is that for the class of 2023 and beyond, our 44 credit graduation plan will be implemented. We really do believe that with the feedback that we've received from the stakeholders, we're able to meet this. There will be in-time interventions and supports for students. And then for students that may have issues, we are developing a waiver process for that to occur. I wish I could have the waiver for you right now, but that does require a little bit more stakeholder input. In particular, I'd like to work with the counselors who I met with at length to have the conversation about the plan, and usually they are very strong proponents of ensuring that all those elements are met in a timely fashion. So we're going to finalize that with the counselors, and then the administrators will take it to cabinet. That should be done by the end of this year. So by the end of May, I hope to have that done. Also knowing that this is an extremely busy time for counselors and school site staff. So we're going to, we've developed a preliminary plan. We'll share it with them. They'll give the feedback, and we'll do this as soon as possible. But that plan will allow for some safety net for those students. We also realize that there are some students that may need additional time and support. Some of these already, because of legal requirements, can qualify naturally to the California Grad Plan. So our English learners, our students in transition, students with disabilities, those facing economic uncertainties, and also what's not on here, some of our military families, our students also qualify. And so we will continue to support through that. Palomar High School already has a Palomar High School grad plan that is very similar to the California grad plan that will continue, as will also those for the alternative programs. Just wanted to make sure that as we do this, we are still focused on professional development for our staff and making sure that we're providing the needs of our students. Mental health has certainly been one of those items that throughout the last 3 years we've been focused on, trying to increase the access of right in time supports, but also those more intensive supports that we refer to service providers. And then just making sure that at the school sites, there's someone for students to talk to as they process through all their both academic and psychosocial emotional issues. Interventions, talked about these in several forums, but we continue to offer credit recovery programs at school sites. Those also include intersession intervals. Luckily, with the year-round schedule that we have, we do have some concentrated time for students to do that, where they could still have vacation plus a week of interventions, and so that's always helpful. Tutoring, we are looking at alternative means of tutoring as well as push in and pull out. We're looking at some online tutoring supports that are very specific to both content areas and also for literacy-based or mathematics-based tutoring. Summer school, we have quite an extensive summer school program set up for this year. at the high schools, 6 high schools, serving about 6,000 students. And then each middle school will have an opportunity for academic interventions. And then, as we talked about, that alternate grad plan will be available through 2025 for students as needed. We'll look at the timeline. The timeline for class of 2023 is really making sure that that decision is made by the second semester after looking at those first semester final grades for students. And then what our thought process right now is looking at a minimum number of credits that the student has achieved, looking at the grade point average, and then once again those social emotional needs and some of those individual situations that may arise. And so we'll bring back to the board that finalized waiver, either in a board item as an informational item, or one through the board comments. And then our summer school, as I said, we have both online and in person that will be available. And that is our plan for our return to our 44 credits for graduation. Any questions?
Thank you. I know we have public comment.
Yes, we have 2 speakers. Dina Donato Pamor.
I applaud that this committee is working toward having high expectations of students while providing strong support. I'm not clear, though, on what that support looks like that is different from what we already have, except for providing a waiver for students whose graduation are in jeopardy. I'm more disturbed, though, that the plan explicitly point out support for students in foster care and students experiencing homelessness. The district and students experience homelessness. However, the district counselor on special assignment position for youth in transition was eliminated. Maybe I'm not smart enough to understand, but that seems like a contradiction. Or maybe the position was eliminated because the person in that position, quote unquote, needed to be gone. Guess what? That person is me. You need a counselor on special assignment to support our youth in transition. Now that I've accepted a counselor position in a high school, you don't have to worry that I'll be back. However, you still need a counselor on special assignment to support our youth in transition. And believe me, I don't want to be where I'm not wanted. I would just get in the way of the work. The American Rescue Plan for Homeless Children and Youth, too, is available for the counselor position. I wrote in the budget a point for counselor position. Again, don't worry, that's not for me. It's for a counselor to support youth in transition. Don't contradict yourself by saying that support for youth in transition is critical, yet you will not provide a critical academic and social emotional support needed. I stood here a month ago and told you what the position did to support the students. It would behoove you to go back to that board meeting and listen to it again. I ask you, how important is it to support students in the district who are in foster care or students who are experiencing homelessness? I'm asking you, the school board, to reinstate the counselor position, hopefully as a full-time position. This position that I currently hold is being funded from state and federal, not general funds. You have the money to have a counselor to support students in foster care and students who are experiencing homelessness. Please think about that. It's not for me, it's for the kids.
Thank you.
Michelle Beal.
Excuse me. Good evening. I understand the district and its stakeholders, counselors included, agree that students should begin to transition back to the 44 credit graduation plan. I know I, for one, am happy to hear this. My purpose tonight was to speak about ensuring that we have safety plans in place for those students who are not majorly impacted. I know the plan allows for summer school as one option for recovering classes, But as the district is finding out, there are a number of teaching positions still not filled for summer school, meaning fewer opportunities for those students to recover classes. I know that we're doing our best to make sure that we're offering students opportunities. I just want to make sure that we have a true safety plan in place for our students to be able to graduate on time next year. Because although we have a rainbow graduation, graduating with your class on time truly means a lot to our students. So again, I just want to make sure that as we're moving through this, that we do have safety plans in place for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further speakers.
All right, it was also pulled by Mr. Tarantino.
Thank you, President Solis. Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. You answered most of my questions in terms of the waiver process, when it would be instituted, at what point in a student's academic career would it be instituted, and also that we would be privy to seeing what the waiver process looks like and the components of it. I do want to piggyback on what Ms. Donato Palmore mentioned, which deals with slide 7 in terms of the specific, the professional development supporting students in foster care and students experiencing homelessness or those in transition. I believe it was in March that I asked for the rationale for what declares or what constitutes a counselor on special assignment at the district be declared excess. In the follow-up memo that came after cabinet, Ms. Vecito said that Ms. Carbuccia and Mr. Rodriguez would address the issue in a Friday update. I have not seen that yet. I don't know what the issue was, but I would like to still know what constitutes putting a counselor on special assignment, declaring them as excess. The other thing is, if there is no counselor on special assignment, then who is this professional development directed to, and who is going to be supporting these students? Is it going back to the counselors at school sites? What is the plan? Because it seems like there is money, there is a grant, so why are we eliminating that position, which is critical, I believe, in terms of backing up what we say. In absence any kind of response from the district, I have nothing but to take what Ms. Donato says at face value. That there's some other means of, there's something else going on other than excess. So, who is going to be responsible for monitoring those students?
Dr. Aguirre?
Sure, I'll ask Dr. Moore, since he oversees the Student Services Office. Dr. Moore.
Thank you for the question, Trustee Tarantino, and good evening, everyone. Certainly, our students that are in foster care and homeless, our youth in transition, are one of our most vulnerable and specialized populations. And when we were planning out our structuring for the coming up year 2022-23, we had to really look very carefully not only at our funding and our budgets, but also at the way our leadership in the department has been allocated. And what we concluded, and we're still working out all of the final details, but that a lot of the duties related to being the liaison, which is a specific position within our youth and transition team, that liaison position in previous years, this year as an exception, had been conducted and worked by an administrator, typically at the program manager status. And so in reviewing that and reviewing some budgetary needs, and I understand the grant in Ms. Donato and in previous years, Dr. Mariana Gomez really put together a fantastic grant that did supply some additional funding for the program. But again, in reviewing structures and making determinations about funding and where we were able to have some positions, it was decided that the counselor on special assignment position would be ending and concluding. The process was a little, I think, challenging because it looked particularly like an excess process when there isn't an excess process for a special assignment position. It's more of, does the assignment continue, or does the assignment stop? And so we looked at that in order to ensure that we were going to have a program manager at that level overseeing the Youth in Transition program. And that, I think, is really where the decision lies, is finalizing the program manager level to be the administrator over that program as it had been in the past.
With all due respect, Dr. Moore, when Dr. Gomez was reassigned, she was replaced by 2 program managers, Dr. Estrella and Dr. Bravo. And now you're saying there's going to be another program manager. Now, will this program manager get deep into the trenches, or is this program manager going to be assigned administrivia? Because I think the important aspect of having a counselor on special assignment in that department is that that person is there for the students, not to do paperwork, not to do grant compliance things, down and dirty with the students. And can you answer if the new program manager, now there'll be 3 program managers assigned to that area? Can you guarantee that that person is going to get in with the students and give them counseling in terms of their academic programs, meet their academic and emotional needs? Or are they going to do administrivia? Or hasn't that job been decided yet?
I think you bring, those are really great points, and
Thank you for that.
And I would like to posit that the administrators, and I would hope that there would be folks who would notice in the division, all of our administrators are responsive to our students and our families in our division now. So I would hope that no one is so bogged down with administrivia, none of our administrators, that they're not responding to and getting, as you mentioned, down and dirty with students. I just want to clarify a couple of things. One is that I didn't say that there would be a new program manager. I said we're undergoing restructuring within the department so that the duties of youth in transition and the liaison that serves as the foster and homeless liaison would be an administrative duty. And then you mentioned that Dr. Gomez's position was filled by 2 program managers, and I would posit that just a few years back there were 5 managers in the Student Services Division, and now there's 2. And so while I think we could always use and ask for additional services, I think what I'm speaking about, and you mentioned that have all the details been completely decided, and I would say that, as I said at the top, I think there's some finalizations that need to occur. However, I feel confident that the structuring that we're going to put forth, again, prioritizes an administrative role for the youth in transition position, and will be utilizing the resources in the department.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tarantino. Vice President Hall?
Yes, thank you, President Solis, and thank you, Dr. Alvarez, for your presentation. I did have a couple of questions. I didn't catch on page 5 you were talking about, that's where you're reinstating for the class of 2023 and beyond. So, and you're going to be meeting to finalize this with the counselors and then bring it to cabinet. And I wasn't clear when you were hoping to finalize it. Was it this year, the calendar year, or the school year? You were trying to finalize it by like June or July and then hope to have it in place for the start of next year? That's my first question.
Dr. Alvarez?
Thank you. Yes, the intent is to have it finalized by June of this year. We currently have a draft that Ms. Lisa Raga and I are reviewing. We will be taking it to cabinet within the next 2 weeks, and then we will also be meeting with stakeholders to review it and then finalize it back to cabinet.
Thank you. I think that was my main question. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Hall. Any other questions?
Yeah, so I didn't have a question. Oh, the question was answered. I support this this plan. My question was going to be around students who, because they have been through 2 years of COVID, and what if they weren't going to be able to make those 44 credits, which is a lot, and that's where we should be really, pushing our students to be the best. And that really does, because I learned at going to some conference that not all districts do that. That's just, and I think that just makes our students better no matter what they do. If they go to college or career, it certainly benefits them. I know it benefited my kids who went through this district. But I'm supportive of this, and I thank you for the work on this.
I'd like to piggyback on that. With regards to the waiver, is the student going to ask for the waiver, or will the counselor see where they're at and be like, hey, you should fill out this waiver?
So the intent is to send out a district-wide notice to all parents and families so that they have the information at the beginning, so that they all understand that. And then also have, as orientation meetings are done for open house, those types of things, senior meetings, that they're also presented there. And then, of course, with counselor meetings with individual students, that will be available. But the announcement is district-wide. I need to work with IT, but we'll be running some reports for sites so that they know those students that may be in that that group or that cohort that may need that additional support, so that it's more proactive than just reactive.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate that. Thank you. Vice President Hall?
Yes, thank you. I did want to ask a second question. I appreciate you allowing me to do that, President Solis. Dr. Alvarez, when on the summer school page, it talked about it being held online. Is that all you're going to do, is online summer school and not in person?
So the online component is the online registration. We've gone to a purely online registration, but summer school in itself will be in person. We do have some courses that are APEX-based courses, and that's that instructional program that has directive services for different courses. That is an online component, but the majority of our summer school is in person.
Oh, okay, because the slide says it's hosted remotely by 6 high schools, I guess, and the header on the slide says summer school plans. So when it says hosted remotely, was that referring to the online registration?
It was referring to the APEX. My apologies.
Okay, yeah, that's confusing, because that's where I picked up, that it was going to be online for all schools. But thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you, Vice President Hall. Yeah, thank you for that clarification, too. Thank you for the wonderful presentation and all that information, Dr. Alvarez and Dr. Moore. All right, moving on to G14. And that was pulled by by Vice President Hall.
Thank you. I appreciate that we're adopting new curriculum. There's a lot here that's for AP programs. There's a couple here that are not AP necessarily, but I really appreciate that we're getting new curriculum. My question was, have we adopted, when are we getting science curriculum for the middle schools and high schools? Is that on the list, or has that been done recently? And then my second question is about the professional development element on these. Can you elaborate on what the plan is and how that will be implemented?
Dr. Aguirre?
Thank you, President Solis. Certainly, I'll ask Dr. Alvarez to walk through some of the adoptions and some of the trainings and professional developments that are involved. Dr. Alvarez?
Sure. Ms. Hall, those are some great questions. So first of all, we do have some science adoptions that are occurring now. We have the AP IB Environmental Science. That is a supplemental materials adoption for additional resources for AP Environmental. And then we have middle school science that will be adopted as well. For next year in 2023, 2022, 2023, we will be looking at the high school science adoptions. So that will be inclusive of biology, chemistry, physics, and then some of the other courses that may be site-based. But district-wide, it will be full science adoption next year. And then for the professional development, with each of these vendors or publishers, there is professional development that is associated with that. I'll give you an example. We have for Hardcore Mifflin, we have about 16 hours of online professional development. We have side-by-side coaching that is available to them. We have on-demand kind of online coaching that's also available. And so PD will be offered throughout the year so that our staff, our teachers feel very comfortable with this curriculum. Our TOSAs, our teachers on special assignment, will also kind of lead some of that work in small groups and in PLCs to continue pushing in and supporting as we transition fully to the new textbooks.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. I'm glad to hear all that. So I will make a motion to approve if there's no other questions.
Doesn't look like it. We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, G15, pulled by Dr. Arancibia.
No, I did. This is something I wanted to note for the record. One of the things that I get concerned about when we offer CCAP classes is sometimes we can actually, for example, ethnic studies, if we offer it through CCAP or Black studies or Chicano studies through CCAP, right, it can help the college bill with an adjunct, and it may become something that we want to use as part of the requirement for 2025 with ethnic studies. But I would really hesitate for our district to do that. I want us to be able to grow our ethnic studies department and maybe perhaps not make that part of the CCAP offerings. Because I know that San Diego Unified, they're trying to do that right now, and I just want us to be very, very careful about that crossover between different programs that are offered here at the high school, especially a nascent one like ethnic studies. We allow it to grow on itself, so we're not interfering with it with Chicano and Black studies that's coming from Southwestern College. That's all I wanted to say with that. And with regards to that, I would move to approve.
All right. It looks like we have a motion
I'll second.
and a second.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Very good point, Dr. Arancibia. Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
H1, pulled by Mr. Tarantino.
I saw that where it said
Thank you, President Solis. I would like to offer a substitute recommendation that case number 3 be a suspended expulsion rather than an expulsion.
All right, we have a substitute motion. I'll second.
Was there a second?
Arencibia?
No.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 no.
H2.
Hold on, you need to approve the rest of the cases
I'm
on
sorry.
that item, please.
you.
So it
Yes.
would be, as the recommendation states, for cases number 1, 2, and 4 and 5.
Thank you. Yes, I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll second.
He entertained a motion, he didn't make one.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
I'll move it, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tarantino.
Sorry.
Thank you.
No,
We have a
and you
motion
second,
and a
thank you.
second.
Arancibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Sorry about that. Thank you. All right, K1.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Could I
Go ahead.
just make a comment on that? Could-
Sure.
Can, I don't know if it was done, but I know the gentleman was waiting here for a while. Was he told before what our process is and when he would have to, how long he'd have to wait here? Okay.
We informed them that after the public vote,
Okay.
the information was going to be forthcoming from Student Support Services.
Okay.
Ms. Picos was going to inform him.
But I mean, in terms of if he was going to be here to listen for the vote, I didn't know if, just that, just how our process works now that we're out here doing
The
this.
vote happens
It
in
just,
public.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I'll ask Dr. Moore to reach out to Ms. Picos, and we can go ahead and reach out to, I did notice the gentleman was here earlier. I did notice he's left the boardroom, but we'll reach out to him as soon as possible to inform him.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. H2, pulled by Mr. Tarantino and the public.
Yes, I have 2 speakers. Dina Donato Palmore.
I promise this is a good one. This is regarding the MOU with Ed Latter. I'd like to say that May is National Foster Care Month, and so I'm here to speak to advocate for the MOU with Ed Latter. To date, there are 105 students in foster care attending our schools within our district. Although the numbers are few, as an educational community, we cannot neglect the needs of these students for support, guidance, stability, and connection. It is the law. Ed Latter provides the mentoring relationship while providing tutoring for the students. Their work is important in the success of our students in foster care, as was the work for our students who are youth in transition. So, just real quick, why do we observe National Foster Care Month? 1, children are our future. It sounds corny, but it's true. When we invest in our youth, we invest in the future of our society, and we need to ensure that we give them every opportunity every opportunity possible. 2, foster care does a lot. Foster care plays a critical role in providing young people who have had to be removed from their homes at a critical place of refuge. It is an invaluable resource for keeping children safe in temporary circumstances and providing stability, direction, and comfort to our nation's most vulnerable sons and daughters. 3, foster care saves lives. The main reason foster care exists is to remove children from harmful situations and help them get into safer environments. This program has saved countless lives over the years through prevention, education, and fostering to provide the best circumstances possible for our youth. Within President Biden's proclamation on National Foster Care Month 2022, he states, National Foster Care Month is an opportunity for us to celebrate foster youth and the people who provide them with love and support. It is our duty to help vulnerable children and child welfare professionals and the families they serve. Through education, volunteering, and partnerships, we can strengthen our communities and ensure that youth in foster care have the support they need for a future that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Beal.
Good evening. Okay, so you got 2 nice ones out of me. I'm not sure I can go for the third, but I'll try. Ed Ladder is really an important project, and it's really an important contract that we have because it does provide a lot for our foster youth, our foster and homeless youth, and it's a great opportunity to give them tutoring. I know that I see that with the students that I serve that they definitely get the benefit from it, so I definitely commend us on continuing that contract with Ed Ladder for the kids. However, one of the things I did want to note is that it is National Foster Care Month. And I kind of looked through the board docs to see where I could find the resolution to acknowledge National Foster Care Month, and I didn't see it. So I'm hoping that this is just an oversight and something that we were not able to get to. But again, I do think it's important to recognize these students. And again, I appreciate and respect the fact that we are continuing this contract with Ed Ladder. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further speakers.
Mr. Tarantino?
My questions were answered in a previous agenda item, so I have no other questions.
I'll make a motion for approval.
I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
K1, pulled by Mr. Tarantino.
Okay, if I understood correctly, page 8 of 8 was pulled. Is that?
No, it was withdrawn by
It
staff.
was withdrawn by staff.
So it'll
That-
be taken off the report.
I had a question about that, so I will move approval.
All right, we have a motion
Second.
and a second.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura? Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
L4, pulled by staff and Mr. Tarantino.
So thank you for that, President Solis. I'll ask Ms. Pedrosa to address the item briefly. It's the adopt a declaration of need, so it needs to be pulled as an item. Ms. Pedrosa.
Certainly, thank you. Good evening. So every year at this time, we bring forward this item really to prepare us should there be a need for additional teachers for subject areas for which they are not currently credentialed. So it doesn't mean that that's how many we would need, but it certainly gives us some leeway in terms of anticipating how many we might need, if that helps.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Mr. Tarantino.
Mr. Tarantino?
Thank you, Ms. Pedrosa. But I had a question about on page 2 of 4, where it says teacher librarian services. So it mentions that there's 10. We may anticipate, or there's a possibility?
So there's likely not a possibility of 10. You know, a couple years ago, when there was a decrease, there wasn't a problem.
Right.
But then when we increased the number of teacher librarians throughout the school district, then we did have to reach out to some folks and, in fact, give them the ability to work on that credential. So there is not, we would not need that. However, if we put a number, if we put 2, but then found that we needed 4, we'd have to come back to the board and ask again.
I understand. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
No further questions.
All right. Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. M1, pulled by the public.
Yes, I have one speaker. Kathleen Cheers.
I would like to begin by crediting Ms. Quirk and her department for the in-depth data provided on the capital facilities plan as it relates to expenditures and projects. I am incorporating comments for M2 as well. I assume there is an itemization of what these items are, where the items will be placed in a detailed accounting of cost for the $250,000 in new district office furniture will be available via PRA. A few meetings ago, when I played the Oprah role in You Get a Stadium, it was downplayed with, these are just plans. Allow me to educate the board. Plans cost money, and once a project is on the planned drawing board, there is a mandate time frame for completion. Mr. Solis, you remember Hilltop High Field and the double expenses we paid. So while many of these school campuses, bathrooms, classrooms, cafeterias, fascias, plumbing are in need of modernization, the board is choosing to build Taj Mahals. Rather than provide our students with the educational facilities they and the teachers deserve, you are choosing football fields. Why aren't new classroom buildings being included in these projects like we at Montgomery High were able to do? Someone needs to explain that. The master site plan clearly stated new modern classrooms were a priority, not lipstick on a pig, new buildings. You trustees are choosing to ignore the clear, hard, factual data our tax dollars paid for in that plan. Ms. Hall, Trustee Segura, you speak of educating Mar Vista High and CPH students with the financial resources we have brought to bear. Alas, your words ring hollow, failing to address the need for new classroom buildings, a need clearly identified in the master site plan you promised to adhere to, serves as evidence. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
No further speakers.
Questions or comments from the board? All right, entertain a motion for M1.
Move to approve.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
And a second.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, I think with that, we're done. Meeting adjourned. Have a great evening.